Hello, I'm Gil Zilkha. Welcome to my channel, Essential Classical Music, where we look at the best recordings of the classical music repertoire. This video is taken out of my larger video on the major solo piano works. I hope you enjoy it. Now let's move on much more forward to Claude Debussy. Debussy, like a lot of these composers, he was a piano prodigy. And Debussy was, of course, very much avant-garde. He kind of took that line that went from Bach through, you might say Brahms, and he really revolutionized it. He was considered impressionist composer. That label is sometimes debated, but what I think he had is the thing about Debussy is you think back to Bach and you think about your typical harmonic line and the way it moves forward. And with Debussy, everything just kind of stops. The whole logic, the whole thinking of how music went forward, it's changed into something where he took, let's say on the piano, for example, he just took these chords and he just meant for them to just evoke something. Like, here's something that makes you think this. May not, not something specific necessarily. And then he just shifted around. And so you're not even thinking about the forward momentum and how everything fits together in that sort of logical Bach way anymore. So that was quite revolutionary. And I would say among his piano works, the ones that are really considered his masterpiece fairly late in his life are the sets of Preludes. 2 books of Preludes, 12 each. This was around the same time and in the same city, Paris, as you had Stravinsky coming out with his, orchestral, his ballets. So it really was an exciting time when music was obviously changing. And the Preludes, for the most part, they have a lot of stillness to them. Again, like I was saying, those chords, you just listen to them and they just evoke, different things in your head. The second movement, voile, which means veils, also means sails. It's like kind of mysterious and spooky. There's the girl with the flaxen hair, which is like la 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 la. That's a really sweet little movement. And then one of the most iconic is the engulfed cathedral, La Cathédrale Égloutée, which is just kind of has these massive sonorities and this feeling of vast space. With Debussy, it's really about evoking in your mind images, which leads me to the next set of pieces, which is Images, which is 2 books of 3 works each. And I would say that if you're coming to Debussy for the first time, this may even be the first ones to come to. First of all, there's not as many, but they're really representative of his style. The first one of the first book is Reflets dans l'eau, Reflections of Water, and it sounds just like that. If you evoking this kind of water moving around. The third movement, Mouvement, is really, that one is a little bit more active and engaging. And then I love the first one in the second book, especially it's the Bells Through the Leaves. Really, really wonderful. It's really representative of Debussy's sound world, his tonality. And then I also want to mention, before we move on to more works, I want to mention in my first recommendation a set that includes also the Children's Corner. This is quite different. It's a set of 6 works. He wrote it for his only child, and these there's a mixture of it's a little bit more mercurial, even kind of comical and whimsical. Very interesting little works. And for all 3 of these, the Preludes, Images, and Children's Corner, I recommend this set with Arturo Benedetti Michelangeli, recorded in 1971 for the Image and Children's Corner, and then 1978 was the first book of Preludes, and then 1988 he followed with the second book of Preludes. Michelangelo had a wonderful feel for Ravel and Debussy, this sort of detached coolness. Of course, he had that iconic Ravel piano concerto recording that I mentioned in my concerto video. Debussy, he brings that feeling of that stillness. He allows the chords to settle. Very intellectual pianist. He really makes a lot of allowing the sound to just emanate, and then making the most of the spaces in between the notes. Wonderful clarity, but very cultivated sound, very nice sound. So a really wonderful way to get to know the works. Very intelligent artistically. For the Preludes, I do want to mention a couple of other recordings. This one comes from unfortunately, a short-lived pianist, a relatively short-lived pianist named Paul Jacobs. He was a pianist who particularly centered on 20th century repertoire. This comes from 1977. And it's a really beautifully sensitive recording. Maybe a good compliment to the sort of more detached Michelangelo. This really has more of the beauty of the sound, a lot of warmth, very sumptuously recorded. So it really helps to accentuate that sort of the mystical aspect of the Preludes. As does this recording from 1991 with Christian Zimmermann. This one is also very warm in both the tone and the recording quality, really beautiful. A little bit more romantic in the way it's phrased. It's a fairly dynamic interpretation. Again, a little bit more of a contrast to the sort of the detached Michelangelo approach, but really gorgeous and sumptuously recorded. Now, discussing a few more Debussy works, of course, we have to mention the suite Bergamasque, most famous for its third movement, Clair de Lune. Maybe the most famous and popular short piano work ever recorded. Bum 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 bum. And ironically enough, it's not really that representative of the work as a whole. It sort of functions like the adagio in a work that in the other movements is actually fairly animated and active. And then you have a couple more suites I want to mention. One is Pour le Piano, which is fairly virtuosic and active. And then Estampes, which is very impressionistic and evocative. It has this Eastern influence to it, so it has a lot of really cool harmonies. And for these three works, I want to recommend another excellent Debussy pianist, Zoltán Kocsys. This was recorded in 1983, so it has excellent digital sound, and Kocsys really nailed the character of these works. Very evocative, poetic, beautiful color, virtuosic when he needs to be. Really wonderfully placed Clair de Lune, which of course is one a lot of people are going to want to have a good version of. So I heartily recommend this. He does have, I believe it's a complete survey of Debussy's music, or at least near complete. So you may want to get it in a full set. But if you want to get a single disc, this is the one I recommend. And then finally, I want to mention I think the last major work he wrote for piano, the Etudes, and a little bit harder to get into than the others. It's very sort of mercurial, a little bit introspective, and like other sets of Etudes, also it has the virtuosity as well. And we have a very good recording of this one from 1989 from Mitsuko Uchida. She really gets into the introspective aspect of it and the more searching qualities as well as the virtuosity. So I would say if this one doesn't sell you on the Etudes, I don't know what will. It's a really, really, really good recording. Now, however, before I leave Debussy, I, of course, have to talk about one of the most famous solo recordings ever made, which is the complete Debussy from Walter Gieseking. Unfortunately, they were recorded in mono, so it's like early 50s recordings, but fairly clear. Just, for Debussy, of course, the music is so evocative, you're going to want the better sound. But the artistry here is really captivating. He has such a wonderful imagination. It's a little bit quicker in a lot of the works. He draws a lot of contrast between the different movements. Wonderful use of color and shading, and just a really keen musical mind, that it's really captivating, and one that if you love piano music in general, you're going to want to get. He also includes in this, besides the works I mentioned, a couple of other smaller works. There's Rêverie, which is depicting a dreamy state. La Joyeuse, which is kind of a flamboyant piece, based on a painting that he saw of the island of Aphrodite. So kind of depicting, it's kind of, think of it like Woodstock or something, free love, happiness, sex, so that's what you get there. And then there's also the two arabesques, the Deux arabesques, which are more these kind of harmonically kind of mystical, mysterious, impressionistic works. So you get all of that plus all the works we discussed so far in this one set. I do also, however, want to mention that he also made recordings in the 30s of these works, which VAI has put out. It's got most of the ones we've discussed. The sound is a bit noisy. You have to kind of listen through the crackles. But if anything, there's more alertness and more imagination even to these recordings, particularly in the Preludes. If you love the Preludes, I would definitely recommend hearing this. Just wonderfully inspired recording of the Preludes. The variety between the different movements, the colors and the shading that you can even hear through the crackles and the noise. Just really wonderful. Thanks for watching. I wish you all a great day and happy listening.